Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. So this is Judge Lynn from Divorce Court. I used to watch Divorce Court coming up. I watched her and I watched the other judge. She had the shortcut, just like Lynn, similarly. And she was like brown skin, dark skin. Those are the two Divorce Court judges that I'm used to seeing. And there's been like a couple new ones. I don't watch Divorce Court anymore. Not too interested, especially in the most recent one, because I've seen like a couple of clips and I'm just like, but I've always loved Judge Lynn. Last year, she lost her husband of like 20 or 30 years. So this is a woman who has put in so much time in marriage.
Mrs. Rivera, I'm glad you're getting a divorce. Mrs. Rivera, I will say this to you. You're foolish. You had a good thing. As soon as it wasn't a perfect thing, it made you angry. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. You most certainly are not perfect. And the next guy you get is not going to be perfect. And unless you're willing to put up with a little bit of, they say for better or for worse for a reason. It's not going to be all lollipops and sunshine. And when it's not lollipops and sunshine for your husband, you at least give him a lollipop. You might not be able to make the sun shine, but you can give him a lollipop, and you didn't do it. You decided that your marriage was about you, for you, and because of you. And when he hit a rough patch, you were like, I'm sick of you. I'm tired of it. You're not a king and wonderful anymore because you're not doing everything I want to. You're no longer Mr. Perfect, and I have no obligation to give anything to you. That's tired and that's sad and it's good.
She read her up, down, sideways, to California, to Philly, up, everywhere, up, down, and every which way, y'all. So now you can see why I named this live stream The Conditional Wife, right? Judge Lynn said, I am glad you are getting a divorce. Because when things got tough, when he hit a rough patch, you decided he wasn't the king anymore. Judge Lynn said, you have a good man and you fumbled him. She said, I'm glad you're getting divorced because frankly, you don't deserve him because you decided that your marriage was for you. Ladies, this is a depiction of the conditional wife. When things are good, you're good. But when things are not good, you aren't good with the situation or that man. Ladies, when you get married, as Judge Lynn said, for better or for worse. That doesn't mean for if he's beating you or if he's not beating you. Because most men are not abusive, okay? So don't get in my comment section talking about men are abusive and all that. We're talking about maybe if he got laid off. Or maybe he got injured and so he can't do the same job that he was doing before. Maybe the money isn't coming in like it was before. That's what she's talking about. Or maybe if he's got a health situation going on that's important, you leave when it gets tough. He's no longer the king. He's no longer enough. He's no longer strong. He's no longer sexy. He's no longer enough for you and whatever lifestyle or image you're trying to portray. Ladies, when you walk down that aisle, you vow to that man that I am here for you and I love you throughout the hardships of life because he is not perfect and neither are you. One eye is bigger than the other. One boob sit a little higher than the other. You're a little overweight. Your hair, you got split ends. You got, single strand knots. Your attitude is a little funky. You don't cook that well. And that man is still there with you. And that man is still working with you. And yet when he hits a rough patch or when you feel like you deserve this X, Y, and Z, but he's giving you A, B, and C for the moment, you're done. You have conditions on your love. You have conditions on your femininity. You have conditions on your respect for that man. That is the conditional wife. And that is the type of culture that is encouraged in today's society. Well, girl, if his money changed, just get you another one. Go ahead and monkey branch to someone else. No, there is no honor in that. And ladies, let me say this. When that man gets down on one knee to ask you to be his wife, to ask you to take his hand in marriage, that means he actually loves you despite your flaws. Despite how you get on his nerves sometimes, despite how you still keep giving him undercooked chicken, despite all these things, he still wants to make you an honest woman, make you his. That means he actually loves you. He actually cares for you. He's actually in love with you. He cherishes you. He respects you. And he wants you to be in his life. In his life. Not in his life for a season. What did you marry him for? Are you saying yes because he makes whatever? Are you saying yes because he's so cute? Are you saying yes because he smell good? Why did you tell this man yes? Did you say yes as long as he continued to provide in the same way? Did you say yes, but your yes was contingent upon where you all stay? Did you say yes, and was it contingent upon if he, whether or not he makes you upset? Judge Lynn said, you had a good thing. Ladies, do not be a conditional wife. Do not be a conditional girlfriend. And because if you're a conditional girlfriend, you're going to be a conditional wife. And understand this, ladies, as well. I understand that some of you, maybe you were raised, maybe by whomever, right? By, let's say, your mom. And let's say she taught you, you need to get a man who makes this amount of money. Or if he don't do this for you, then you don't need to, whatever. And it's all materialistic based, and it isn't necessarily rooted in noble character, being a good man, him being kind to himself and others and things of that nature. I get it. Be with a man, of course, who can take care of you. I understand that. But if you're raised by a woman who was saying marry a man based off of, again, the materialistic things and how much he spoils you and things of that nature, and that lays a weak foundation for a relationship. And so it's not going to work anyway. So if you were programmed in that way by your mom, your aunt, your grandma, whomever raised you, I highly suggest that you begin that deprogramming. It's going to take time. It's going to take work, but you have to be honest, because you do not want to ruin a relationship, a strong relationship with a good man due to shallow, vain, and due to weak reasons. Let's listen to this again.
Mr. and Mrs. Rivera, I'm glad you're getting a divorce. Mrs. Rivera, I will say this to you. You're foolish. You had a good thing. As soon as it wasn't a perfect thing, it made you angry. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. You most certainly are not perfect.
Let's pause there. As soon as it wasn't perfect, you got angry. Check your selfishness. Check yourself. Check your selfishness. Check your realistic or unrealistic expectations. And understand that life has adversity. Ladies, don't always use your femininity just to get something from a man's pocket. Also use your femininity to uphold him in times of struggles, to uphold him in times where he maybe has a failure or a situation that isn't necessarily favorable in that moment. That is a time to use your natural born femininity in your compassion, in your insight, in your love, and your respect to strengthen your man, to encourage your man. Not when he falls on hard times, you start belittling him. You're not cooking the meals like you were before. You're not being sweet to him like you were before. Mona says, because if you stay married long enough, something will happen. And good wives know they will have to adjust through the short-term challenges. Exactly, Mona. Y'all, Mona has been married much longer than I have. And I agree. Ladies, a good woman makes a good wife, and a good wife makes a good mother. But let me stop there. A good woman makes a good wife. Work on yourself today in order to be that good wife, that good woman. And so when you do get someone's hand in marriage, or take someone's hand in marriage, or whatever, you already have the foundation, the honest, loving foundation to be able to put your best foot forward if and when situations happen. Ladies, the last thing that a man would want or need is when he hits a rough patch. And I'm talking about like the career or the job portion, because a lot of divorces happen due to finances, and we know how y'all are. If it's money funny, then you start acting funny. If it's money strange, you become a stranger. So I'm going to use that example. The last thing a man would need and want is when he hits a rough patch in his job, if he's laid off, or again, if he's injured or something like that. The last thing a man would need or want is for his wife to start changing for the negative toward him. That means there is no peace up in his house. That means he's not looking forward to coming home. That means there was no motivation for him, or there's less in the motivation for him to keep going, to keep working, and for his situation to improve, for him to put in the work for the situation to improve, because the woman who he otherwise thought would have his back has snaked him. The woman who said, I will love you to have and to hold, for richer or for poor, for better or for worse, she has reneged. She like, I don't want nothing to do with it. I can't stand him. He lazy. Maybe he's hurt. Maybe he's broken. And maybe due to your funky attitude, you've changed the atmosphere in the home. So much so to the point where it affects his spirit negatively. It discourages him. It drives him to drinking, or drives him out the house into another woman's bed. A good woman makes a good wife. A good wife makes a good mother. A good man makes a good husband. A good husband makes a good father. In that has nothing to do with how much money that man makes, but it's about his character. Listen, ladies, a good man is going to figure it out. It's okay to express your grievances in a respectful way. But you need to remain tactful. You need to, again, remain respectful. You need to remain compassionate for the situation. But you can still express your grievances, and that possibly can give him some form of motivation or just insight into what you're thinking, despite the difficult time that you're having. But that doesn't mean that you give up. That doesn't mean that because the condition of your home or the finances have changed, that doesn't give you the right to say, I'm out, just because it's changed. You've probably changed your own self, especially if you had children. That stomach is a little flabby. That booty ain't sitting up the same way. Your hair's a little thinner. You're a little older, but that man still loves you. That man is still providing for you. That man is still coming home to you. But when the situation changes again in his finances, nothing that you admire him for matters anymore. That you a snake. You're a chameleon. When the going gets tough, you leave. That's a weak woman. Proverbs 14:1, Abby says, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hand. Do you understand how tough it is to build a home? Like literally, it takes work. It takes sweat. It takes time. A wise woman builds her house. A wise woman builds with her man. A wise woman builds with a man. And building takes time. If anyone's built a house before, You will understand that it takes time. Sometimes you have setbacks, drawbacks. But the house is going to get done as long as it has the proper, strong foundation. But if you're marrying a man and you're only marrying him due to what he has, that is a weak foundation in of itself. This is why I talk about over here, ladies, becoming a better woman. I don't have these discussions with you just so you can get you a man. This is about self-improvement. This is for character building, character improvement. The true test is when things get tough, not when things are easy going, not when things are perfect, ladies. But y'all are not even willing to listen to the message because it doesn't feel good, because you think you're perfect, because you think you're all that in a bag of chips, because you think that a man should take you despite all your flaws, but he has to roll up perfect and making $1 million a year. Who do you think you are? You, this lady right here, who lost a good man, and now another woman can reap the benefits of the 4 P's that this man comes with. And she's going to be trying to find a piece of that man, a piece of what she had. He just not making enough money. He just not doing enough for me. What have you done for him? How have you helped the situation? You're supposed to be his helpmate, right? Then help. I'm talking to the future wives. Are you willing to go through and build with him? Good women will do so and benefit long term. Ladies, something my husband says to me is it gets greater later. So he understands that, yes, there are some material things that I like. And I like my home a certain way, or I want certain features, or I want a certain vehicle. But he understands that there's a time and a place. You can't have that Benz right now. You can't have that 5-bedroom home right now. We can't have another child right now because I'm still building. It gets better later, greater later, as long as you're willing to be patient and be willing to build, be willing to wait.
Perfect. And the next guy you get is not going to be perfect. And unless you're willing to put up with a little bit of, they say for better or for worse for a reason. It's not going to be all lollipops and sunshine. And when it's not lollipops and sunshine for your husband, you at least give him a lollipop. You might not be able to make the sunshine, but you can give him a lollipop.
You at least give him a lollipop. You at least encourage him. You at least say, baby, I know we are going through something right now, but that is okay. Baby, I know you didn't achieve that, but remember who you are. You are this, you are that, you are more than capable, and you are loved, and I will be here. You give him a lollipop, and he gonna be like, you know what? Hold on, let me get up off of my little sad train, and let me make something happen, because this woman has empowered me. In your femininity, there is power. You have the power to shape this man's world and to bring light to his world. And instead, you're ungrateful behind. When the going gets tough, you're done. He's got enough because you're not perfect, mama. But he loves you in spite of your imperfections. He deals with your funky attitude, your PMSing, because he loves you. When you get on his last nerve and y'all been arguing for a week, he's not looking up how to divorce my wife ASAP. Y'all already have an escape plan.